The OnePlus Nord 3 is an interestingly positioned phone. And let me start by simply saying, OnePlus undercuts every brand with wildly impressive specs like they were originally known for. The Dimensity 9000 chipset. That's a chipset for flagship phones. And the Sony IMX890 camera sensor, that's the camera sensor of the OnePlus 11 and the Oppo Find X6 Pro. Hey guys, Andre here. Welcome back to Tech Local. After just knowing what camera sensor this is using, I already have set expectations to see good results. Obviously, the camera sensor is just part of the camera system. What OnePlus does with this camera sensor is actually what matters more. So, to answer the question of its image quality, I am so pleased to say this is truly on the level of high-end smartphones. No doubt. This isn't your typical mid-ranger. The amount of detail is really on the higher level. I think OnePlus must have really taken some notes from what they've learned from their OnePlus 11. In fact, I think if I compare these shots with the camera, there seems to be quite a lot of sharpening going on.
What do you think of this phone?
It's amazing.
And despite the lack of a dedicated telephoto, zoomed-in shots are surprisingly usable. Of course, with the help of its internal processing. Apart from that, I'm more than satisfied with this output. The jump from the main camera to ultra-wide does look pretty drastic, but it's very much usable, especially under good lighting. But a really unexpected thing I greatly enjoyed on this phone for taking photos doesn't have anything to do with the image or the camera. The leveling guide on this phone is super satisfying to use. Like, it really helps a lot. What makes this different is there's this subtle tick that vibrates once the phone is aligned. So even in really low angle shots where I can barely see the screen, I still know I'm capturing an aligned image because I can feel it. I did check on this and it turns out that this feature is something you get on high-end Oppo and OnePlus phones called O-Haptics, an improved haptic feedback technology. Surprisingly, taking photos at night was weird, but in a good way. The images look nice and all, but the standard photo mode seems to automatically shift to night mode when it detects really low light. And I can't seem to tell them apart. They are both good, so I guess just use whatever you like. Now, for video, I am also super pleased to share that slow-mo looks good in 1080p, and there's no limit for how long you can film with it. While standard videos look smooth with the built-in OIS, but it does look somewhat robotic at times, and the contrast in the image is quite excessive for my taste. It also seems to suffer from moire, which can be seen in hard lines of the image. The front camera isn't one of the Nord's key features, but I really cannot complain at the quality this provides. I think this is more than passable for both video and photo. We expected the Dimensity 9000 to be fast, but the Nord 3 is just incredibly smooth. Flawless performance even on heavier tasks like video editing. This does have 16GB of RAM, so there's a lot of room for apps to run around on. Of course, we knew this could run Genshin Impact at very high smoothly, obviously. What I didn't expect is to run very high at 60 FPS. Sure, there are frame drops at times, but never to the point that you'll even notice it. Exceptionally good performance right there. There's no doubt that most games can be maxed out on this. And that's exactly what we did. I'm just not so sure, but this screen feels smoother than most 120Hz panels I've tried. OnePlus has something they call a HyperTouch engine, which they say improves the screen's reaction time. They've also bumped up the resolution on this, which looks absolutely beautiful and sharp. And the bezels? They've improved that too. They're almost gone here. If I were to judge, this screen is one of the biggest jumps OnePlus made on this phone to make this feel really premium despite keeping this at the mid-range. Now, looking at the phone's design, it looks very similar to the OnePlus Nord CE3 Lite we've previously reviewed. However, this feels slimmer and oddly lighter than that one, despite having much more powerful hardware packed in here. They did sacrifice the headphone jack to make it super slim, but they kept the stereo speakers and those sound decent. I did misjudge the material of this phone though. At first I thought the back case was plastic, but it turns out it is actually made of glass. You will most likely need a case if you want to keep this looking fresh. Other nifty features you'll find here are the alert slider, which lets you change your notification status through a switch, and there's an IR remote feature, which lets you use your phone as a remote for different devices like some older TVs. Interestingly, the remote software seems to be identical to the one Xiaomi uses in a lot of their phones. But Speaking of software, the Oxygen OS on this is super clean. No bloatwares, just the essentials. I'll be honest, after using this phone, I have been diverted as a fan of this OS. It's a really light OS, which means there aren't many apps that would be draining your battery running in the background. And having touched on the battery, our PC Mark battery test did give us 13 hours, which is good, but realistically, we are getting 2 days under normal usage. Charging is pretty interesting though. I do review phones simultaneously at times, and while I was benchmarking the charging speeds, the Nord 3 charged 1 minute faster than the 120-watt phone I was testing at the same time. So I guess it's safe to say this does compete with flagships in terms of its charging speeds. And for those who are concerned about battery health, the Nord 3 automatically slows down charging at night through its wise charging feature to keep the battery from degrading too fast. The OnePlus Nord 3 is the perfect example of you're getting more than what you pay for. But who is this phone for exactly? I think OnePlus really targets the enthusiast market for this one. People who really know and understand specs. And that's why they're really giving this everything. And if you remember OnePlus back then, that's actually how they got to where they are now. Really giving the enthusiasts what they want. For me, the only thing that's missing here to be a full-fledged flagship phone is a dedicated telephoto camera and a partnership with a popular optics manufacturer like Hasselblad, which doesn't really matter as long as you're getting a decent camera. So, if you're asking if this phone is worth it, just think, what is the cheapest phone that has flagship specs and a flagship camera combined? It's probably the Nord 3. If not, then let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway, that's it for this video guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this and I hope you earned your click on that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you on the next video.